Hey guys, so welcome back to Indirect Knowledge. So doing quite a few of these tarot card readings this morning. It's actually early in the morning, almost 4 o'clock a.m. Us monks, we do have a tendency to get up early. And my service today is getting started really early, so 4 a.m. and really happy about that. I'm glad to be able to give. And so this reading is for S. And S has had sort of an she's been interested in a particular person for quite a while now. This person is actually quote unquote engaged to be has an engagement party coming up, perhaps on Saturday. And in the past, when I've done readings, I haven't really picked up anything that would say anything otherwise. It's too much on that per se. But this has been a back and forth kind of relationship, sort of, where there's a kind of a lack of communication sometimes that goes on with it. But S is really unsure about what the situation is. It's not been easy for her. Considering these types of situations that she's had to deal with. But she just wants to get some kind of more clarity around the situation. And that's what we're going to do for her with this particular reading. So let's try to end some of the confusion. I think that would be the best thing. So I've got a lot of, I've actually been picking up some things. I've been kind of ruminating on this for about a day now, since this came in, since she'd asked for this reading. And so I've just been kind of letting things so I've gotten a couple of things, and I'm going to share those here in a moment. But first I'm going to go ahead and put out the spread here and see kind of where we're at with things. Because I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's a very interesting reading. Okay, so before we get started, let me just say that I'm doing a 7-card spread here, and the 7-card spread deals with past, present, and future type things, but it also deals with like really what the key is or the answer is to this whole situation, in order to get some resolve on it, in order to find some kind of a nice outcome. Then we also have information surrounding like just practical advice, things that we can give to S to maybe help her. And then also just kind of like what the general idea is surrounding everything that's going on. And kind of where the emotions are, and then maybe how to better deal with them. So that's kind of what I would like to kind of present and put forward. So bear in mind, this is a bit of a serious topic, okay? So some of the cards that have come out in the spread and all, they're, at first glance, they're going to seem a little bit alarming, okay? Let me just go ahead and prepare you for that now. But I think the thing to realize is that we have to keep this reading in the context of the very specific thing that we're working toward here, and that is getting rid of some of the confusion and all that this person in her life has been causing her, and to get some kind of clarity or more insight into the situation. So that specifically is what we're working with. We're not working with, what's going to happen, these kind of things necessarily. It's really more about getting clarity, okay? When we ask these types of questions, the kind of cards that have come up in this spread are the kind of cards that normally tend to come up. So this is nothing outside the ordinary or the normal, okay? So that being said, let us continue, and let me kind of steer you in the direction or kind of help you in the best way possible to kind of get some understanding, some clarity around this. This is a really positive reading overall in terms of help. But to look at the cards individually would tell you a different story, most likely. In the past, we've had a juggling back and forth of things, okay? As far as this here, thinking we understand, not thinking we understand, and we're juggling things. It causes insecurity. It causes insecurity in terms of, whether we're sure-footed or not, or whether we're really, on stable ground. And that's what we have with the Two of Pentacles here. It's a prime example. This is the juggling of resources. In this case, it could be money, or it could be just, our foundation. It's where our foundation could be shaken a little bit. Two is often about relationships. We're talking about relationships with regard to this card. So what are we dealing with here exactly? It's this whole eternal thing of going back and forth with relationships, not really knowing often what we can expect, with a relationship moving forward. So it causes a lot of insecurity, a lot of confusion. That's what we're dealing with, and that's what we have. The next card that we have, we have the Four of Pentacles. We're still on this here idea of materiality. These are things that we want. When we think of materiality, we think of want. We think of materialism. Now, materialism is not necessarily a bad thing per se. It's just as a distraction. So when we become attached or attracted to certain things and all, a lot of times other things in our life tend to go outside the realm of our periphery, our purview. So sometimes we don't always see other things that we should be paying attention to, because we're so focused or so drawn or so, attached or looking at something in a different, we're yearning for something that's, causing us a lot of distraction away from other things. So again, more distraction. In this case, it's the Four of Pentacles. And this particular card is about miserliness. Miserliness doesn't always have to deal with money per se. It can also be just, selfishness when it comes to our relationships, or our time, our resources, anything along those lines. So don't get confused thinking this is just about money or it's just about being miserly. It's really about holding on to things very tightly, not willing to let things go in order to let new things come into play. This is our present moment and stuff. And this is really what's going on with the mindset thinking. We're so fixated, so drawn in a certain direction. It causes almost like a tunnel vision to happen. And really what this is, it's when this particular card comes up, it causes us not to be able to help other people as much who might be in need of our services or in need of our help. Sometimes this is kind of enslaves us, and that's love. Oftentimes, love can be very enslaving. It can captivate us. It can hold us a prisoner. It can, take control of our emotions, take control of and it can really cause us a lot of mental anguish. Next, we have the Devil card. Now, this is a near future and stuff. Why don't you look at this card? Because like I mentioned in the beginning, before we even got started with this spread, for this particular type of spread, when we talk about confusion and things coming in, attachments, materiality, materialism, those kind of things that distract us away from other things that we should be focused on or concerned with. The Devil card plays a primary role. It's sort of a tempter, right? The devil tempted Jesus on the mountain and stuff, and of course, Jesus didn't give in to the temptations. I think the devil offered him something like giving him everything, and Jesus still said no. So it's about how we deal with temptations. Not all of us deal with it in the same way, Not everybody is Jesus, per se. And I'm not even using that in terms of religion. I'm just using it in terms of just a story that a lot of people understand and can relate with in that sort of a context. So let's not get too, religious here per se. Let's instead focus more on kind of what the symbology of this card represents. Oftentimes when this card comes up, this card is about people who have addictions. It's about it being addicted to something, being very attached to something. It could be a lifestyle. It could be drugs. It could be alcohol. It could be these kind of things that come into play. And when we can't always get what we want, it creates even more desire for that thing. It's like the object of our affection even. So like they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. What does it mean? It just means that when we can't have what we want, or the person that we want to be with is not around us, our desire for that person increases. On the other hand, we have the inverse that happens sometimes too. The person could be around us 24/7 hours, 24/7, 365 days a year, every hour on the hour. And at some point, you might get to a point where you just need a little bit of space away from this person. You love them, you want to be with them, but at the same time, you need your space. You need to have a retreat for yourself, a little holiday away from the person that you love a little bit. So this card here is sort of this reminder that these kind of things can happen. We can go a little too much in one direction, sometimes with our thinking, with our thoughts, with our ideas on things, and it can cause us a lot of, anguish, So let's talk about the answer to everything, okay? So this is a very interesting read because we have, and we'll get to it here in just a minute, our answer card, the answer to our outcome. We'll talk about the outcome here in a moment, but the answer to the outcome is, interestingly enough, it's the Ten of Swords, okay? Now this Ten of Swords here is about finality, getting closure on things. These swords are in the back of an individual, a person. But, that aside, Ten's about completion in the tarot. So it's about, moving on so that you can start the next chapter of your life in that. This, endings to start, new beginnings, can also lead to rejuvenation, or kind of like an end to the negativity or the critical thinking that's holding us and holding us a prisoner and that kind of thing. So it's actually a really good card in this particular context. The next card that we have, this really relates to that miserly card that I always talk about, that Four of Pentacles that we talked about just a minute ago, holding on to things, unwilling to share our resources, our time, our attention, our energies with others. What is behind that? It's this Nightmare card. What are swords all about? Swords about the mental. Nightmare card right here is just a nightmare. It's not real. It can lead to more, defined endings and things like what we had in the card that actually postcedes this, or goes after this, which is actually in our answer card, and that's that Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is also about mental, getting caught up in our mind, our thinking. But a nightmare doesn't mean that it's real. Then we also have the card that really is represents S, and this is really the attitude card, or this is kind of at the back of the mind where maybe our focus isn't necessarily at, but this is a good card to reconcile with, or to at least understand. And it's this Magician card. Now the Magician, this is your card, S. This here Magician has access to all the resources in order to create whatever future the Magician, wants. Like a magician, they can wave their magic wand. They can take advantage of whatever resources and things, and they can create for themselves whatever it is that they want. You think of Merlin the magician, able to, create whatever kind of reality that Merlin wants to create. And that's what the magician is really all about. It's using what you have and being able to capitalize on those things in order to get what you want. And then we have our outcome card. The outcome card is the Three of Wands. Okay, you can see this card right here. Now notice this card. We've got 3 wands. 3 is usually about inclusion of another person. So we have the 2 over here, and then we have the 1 over there. Why do we need another person in this particular instance? What is the action that the 3 of Wands is really presenting us with. It's about validation, validating our ideas, validating our thoughts, validating things. So getting validation. It can be approval, things along those lines. But the key to this particular card is really talking to experts, getting a greater perspective on things and moving in that kind of a direction. So now just to kind of share with you kind of what I'm getting from all of this, and it really goes more into alignment with the things that I've said before. Sometimes the mind plays tricks on us, right? We get a little bit too caught up in our thinking, and really the key is to let go of that thinking. And that's what that Ten of Swords was really telling us. It's to kind of, quit thinking about it so much, quit getting so caught up in it. We see different things like the Devil card there and all, which is kind of an indicator that, we really won't be able to achieve that anytime soon. So that I'm looking at in the next probably week or so out for that to really take effect, that Devil card. And that Devil card is just about it's about, our attachments to things, the things that tempt us, what it is that, when we see something or there's somebody in our life that we really want to be with, it can be like a temptation. And we can choose whether or not we're going to stay in that person's life or, exclude ourselves from that situation. It's really our decision. So what this reading is all about is about decisions, but it's also about some advice. And the advice that it gives us is the resources and everything are at your disposal. So whatever you want from this outcome is yours. You don't have to question it. You don't have to second guess yourself. You don't have to overthink it. You just have to use the resources at your disposal. The outcome is to, get some validation. You get validation by talking to someone else, Maybe this reading, for example, could be validation. Or maybe there's somebody close at hand to the situation, close to the situation that you could talk to and just get some better perspective about. I'm not really picking up anything negatively as far as this person goes, and as far as your and his relationship goes. I'm not really this is really if I was going to give any kind of advice, it's just about having faith, It's hard to have faith, but to get what we want, we really have to be able to say, look, I've got all the resources to be able to create whatever outcome I want. And once you realize that, and that you have the power to create and manifest for yourself whatever it is that you want, then that's really empowering. And once you have that empowered feeling that starts to come over you, those other things that are holding you back, like all that thinking and all that mental stuff that's going on, along with the the attachments to things, those start to go by the wayside. Why? Because when you can have at any given moment anything that you want, and you don't have to worry about it, you don't have to feel miserly about it, or like you have to do something in order to get something. But when you just let go and release, it kind of frees you up to have clearer thinking. It allows things to start to happen naturally for you and bring things in on that level. And it's just really a really good feeling. It changes the whole dynamic. So I think what happens is I think what will be the case, and it'll really depend on kind of, whether you take this advice or not, but I think the next reading we do for you will have a completely different effect. And I'd say we should plan to do that probably after a week or so, to kind of see what happens in the next week with this. I know you said Saturday, we kind of have this whole thing with the wedding kind of deal. I'm still not really picking up any kind of real strong energy about that. So I don't think it's necessarily what you think it is. So, there's a lot of confusion and things going on with that. But we'll see. We'll check it. We'll take a look at it maybe in about a week or so. We can come back to this, do another reading, and then just kind of get some more perspective on it and see what happens from it. I'd really like to see where you're at past this situation, past this weekend. I know this has been bothering you for some time. It's causing you some unrest, some unease, and I'm really sorry about that. I think we can all identify with having been in situations like that before, and just kind of, as an objective thought on this whole thing is, if you can just, I know it's hard. It's easier said than done when you're in that space. It's harder to just kind of, let go. But I think if you just kind of like release yourself from it for a bit, not buy into this ideas that are being presented to you outwardly, but just kind of trust your own inner resources and trust your instincts on this. I think you're going to be fine. I think everything's going to work out really well for you. In fact, I know it is. I mean, I don't even have to second guess myself on it. And that's really kind of the same message that I've been kind of saying, all along here. I mean, that's just, what I'm getting. I don't pick up anything negative. In fact, it's a really, really good reading for you, actually. So anyways, I hope that helps. Guys, if you guys haven't already, if you're watching, tuning in with us here at Indirect Knowledge, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you want. You can hit the bell notification also to get notifications whenever we come on and do these live streams. Now, it's a little after 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't anticipate everyone is going to necessarily be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but if you are, you can ask questions. We can get you the answers and different things on the channel. If I don't know if you guys know it or not, but I'm a monk, and so we take a vow of poverty and everything. But by and large, if you want to help out the monks, help us spread love for God, help us be able to perform these type of services and that kind of thing to help others in need, you might consider donating. And if you want to donate, and it's in your heart to do so, you can go to helpbydonating.com and give whatever donation you desire. And I pray that you're richly rewarded for that. As far as anything else goes, if you need anything, please reach out to me as your tarot coach. I'm always here for you. And if you want to just learn tarot, hey, stay tuned into the channel. You'll learn a lot. So thanks for tuning in. I will see you guys on the next episode of Indirect Knowledge. Have a wonderful night.